Hello, rocket builders! In this episode, we start a new series on basic rocket science. Making sure your rocket flies straight and not towards a crowd of spectators is really one of the most basic fundamentals. So today we're going to look at the two basic elements of rocket stability, center of gravity and center of pressure. Don't worry, it's not rocket science. Oh wait, it is, but it's really simple rocket science. Cue intro. I'm keeping the explanation in this video pretty simple. I'll be talking more about these topics in later videos, but in the meantime, if you want to know more, I've included some links in the description below. Let's start by looking at the variables that affect rocket stability and how we can control them. So here we have a standard 12-inch or 30-centimeter ruler. Now this ruler is balanced at the 6-inch mark, which is exactly halfway, because the mass of the ruler is distributed evenly throughout its length. This balance point is known as the center of gravity. Now the center of gravity is important because it's the point at which the ruler will pivot if a force is applied. If I push down here, it's going to rotate around that center of gravity. Same thing if I push down on the other side. Okay, now assuming this rocket is flying through the air, we also have air forces that are being applied throughout the length of the ruler. And it's being evenly applied to both sides on either side of the center of gravity balance point. And like the center of gravity, there is a concentration point called the center of pressure. Because it's equal on both sides, in this case, it's the same as the center of gravity. So now we've altered the mass distribution of the ruler. We've added a coin on one end, which makes the mass unevenly distributed. So the center of gravity has shifted to one end of the ruler. Now the air pressure is still going to be equally applied over the length of the ruler, but that means there's going to be more air pressure on this side of the pivot point than on this side. So it's going to try to rotate around that pivot point, with this side pushing down and this side pushing up. Eventually the heavy end will point straight up, and hopefully that's the direction of flight. Okay, so now we've made another type of alteration. We have fins added on one end. Now that does affect the balance point, the center of gravity, slightly, but it affects the air pressure applied to this side of the rocket far greater. So as we have air pressure being applied, we're going to have a greater force exerted on this side than on this side. It's going to spin around the center of gravity and want to fly this way. So that's it. We have two primary variables, center of gravity and center of pressure. Controlling these two variables is enough to ensure stable flight. The key rule of thumb is to have the center of pressure one body diameter, or one caliber, behind the center of gravity. If the center of pressure is ahead of the center of gravity, the rocket will try to flip around and fly backwards. That's never good. If they're too close to each other, the rocket will be neutrally stable. That means we have no control over what happens at all other than luck. Guess what? You're now a rocket scientist. Use your power for good. In our next video, we'll look at how to calculate center of gravity and center of pressure, and how to use them in our rocket designs. As always, if you've enjoyed this video and want to see more, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Until next time, fly stable.